So, uh, finalizing ERD. Okay, the next couple of slides describe the two major parts of the last step in the DM process, okay, which is the finalizing of ERD. Documenting error, ERD goes beyond improving communication by clarifying parameters whose meanings are far from obvious. This includes explanation of codes, as well as logic involved in applying complex rate structures, as in that rate set example we just discussed. Resolving specification problems generally refers to getting more information from the stakeholders, the water utility folks in our example. As a result, we might decide that a meter is not mandatory but optional in the use relationship. We talked about it at the beginning. The justification for the design changes should be documented and must be documented. In our case, let's assume a meter number exists, whether or not the meter is in actual use, and we want to be able to track those idle meters in our database as well. Detecting common errors refers to looking for misplaced or missing relationships, such as the one between employee and reading, incorrect cardinalities, such as the one mentioned on the previous slide about meter being optional in the has relationship, accounting for those that are in the system before being put into actual use at the customer site. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll open the last ERD number 4 and save it as number 5, renaming it as ERD 6_05_WU finalizing diagram. I guess I dropped WU at some point in my slides, but I'll keep it here. Okay, and then we'll double click on the has relationship and choose optional under meter right here to incorporate that change. And then we'll probably have to document that in a comment. Okay, we'll close that and you'll see the effect of that particular change. Well, again, generalization hierarchy tend to get overused and misused if there are significant differences between different types of customers, as I indicated on a previous slide. As seems to be the case in our example, we want to add two new entities, commercial and residential, with attributes shown on the next slide. So let's switch and show these guys. Okay, so commercial and residential are right, smack in the middle of the slide. So what we want to do is we want to switch back, add new entity called customer. I'm sorry, commercial, with a couple of attributes such as, let's add the new entity again called residential, since I accidentally did that. So going back to commercial, the attributes, let's add taxpayer ID and enterprise zone, rather than Zoe as I have on the slide. Enterprise zone, and then for residential we will add subsidized, spelled correctly, and dwelling type. Okay, we'll close that and then we'll click on our customer entity and make it into a super type. And then for that entity we're going to add commercial and residential as its site types, subtypes, assuming they have no customers in common, right? No customer cannot be commercial or residential at the same time, and there are no other types of customers at this point. Okay, disjoint and complete, close it, and then you have to sort of fiddle around until you sort of work that into that's another one, into the model. Okay, into the model right here. Okay, save these changes. All right, so the final error check that we're going to do is for a redundant relationship, revealed typically by cycles that begin and end with the same entity. For our water utility data model, sent to, right here, sent to relationship can be derived from the other three, starting with customer, okay, that uses meter. Okay, so this should have been uses relationship rather than has. somehow became has. Okay, and then meters are read by the readings, right, which are then performed by, of course, employees, and then the reading is included in the bills, and then the cycle closes, as you can kind of tell, right, just by looking at it. Okay. However, you should be cautious before removing relationships. Okay, and when in doubt, you should retain it rather than delete it. In our case, we can see that the send to is implied by the other three, so it does not need to be there explicitly. Okay, so we'll double click on it, okay, or rather just click on it and delete it and confirm the deletion, and then sort of make the slide look rather the design as close as possible to the one on the slide. Okay, this might be a good point to pause. So switch back to the presentation and pause. So there you have it again, our final ERD. Okay, for the water utility database. We decided to keep the rate entity down in the bottom left corner as weak and contained as identifying a relationship between rate set and rate entities. The final ERD includes several refinements, from adding employee entity in the bottom right corner to generalizing customer, okay, into commercial and residential. At this point, we are ready to convert our design into the actual database. So throughout several previous recordings, this relationship that I called customer has meter should have said customer uses meter. So note that just for clarity. Okay, so before we continue with the conversion, we're going to take another break.